We've just made it around the first iceway point.
5th of November 2005, the start of the Volvo Ocean Race in San Sencio. Expectations were high, but results were disappointing. The first leg was underway. After a spectacular start in Vigo, ABN AMRO 1 was soon in trouble. Fire on board. It didn't affect the result though. ABN AMRO 1 was first to arrive in Cape Town, ABN AMRO 2 second. The rematch came straight away for Team ABN AMRO with the second import race. High winds in Cape Town delivered ABN AMRO 1 first place and ABN AMRO 2 third. On the second leg from Cape Town to Melbourne, the youngsters on Boat 2 took command. ABN AMRO 1 set a new 24-hour record, only for it to be broken straight away by the young talent on ABN AMRO 2.
The whole bow is underwater. We're going 20 to 35 knots all the time.
In the next leg from Melbourne to Wellington, Geert-Jan Poortman fell victim to the power of the sea.
Fell against the daggerboard, hit his head.
Meanwhile, ABN AMRO 1 was locked in the most exciting finish of the entire race. In Wellington, they just failed to beat Movistar.
Cabana.
Leaving behind the horrors of the Southern Ocean, after rounding Cape Horn, the sailors could look forward to a warm welcome in Rio de Janeiro. And again, it was victory for ABN AMRO 1. In third place, ABN AMRO 2 wasn't far behind in this tough leg of the race. The restart in Rio began with trouble for Mike and his team.
We didn't think we had enough time to catch them, and we were right by about a minute.
Leg 5 was dominated by tricky weather, high temperatures and changeable wind conditions.
And his girlfriend was complaining that he doesn't take a shower on board. Can you believe on that? Oh yeah, there we go.
The boat's still in good shape, but most of us are pretty tired. We haven't had much sleep.
We really wanted to have a good leg because people thought that this was going to be our Achilles heel, this leg. We didn't think that was the case. We thought the reaching conditions were going to suit us, and they did. So, we're over the moon. Can't say more, just over the moon.
After a poor import race for both boats in Baltimore, it was clear to skipper Mike Sanderson that the leg to New York had to be won. Rough conditions and a short leg ensured that skippers and navigators didn't get a wink of sleep. Tired but happy, the crew of ABN AMRO 1 came in first yet again. The final victory was in sight. The worst was to come for ABN AMRO 2 in the seventh leg. First came the tragic loss of Hans Horrevoets. Shaken, the crew then had to launch a rescue for their fellow sailors in Movistar. Meanwhile, the black boat was first to arrive in Portsmouth. This meant that already at this early stage a final victory was assured. Despite the result, for Team ABN AMRO, the seventh leg was the low point of the race. It was a hard decision for the sailors of ABN AMRO 2, but still they decided to go on. After sailing the slowest leg of the race with hardly any wind, the young crew were met by a huge reception from the public in their home port of Rotterdam.
These boats are both coming home here to Holland. In fact, this boat was christened here in Rotterdam.
The event in Rotterdam was a big success, but the last leg started with trouble for ABN AMRO 1. Meanwhile, ABN AMRO 2 looked to be heading for their first victory. Seb Joss's crew closed on Gothenburg with a good lead, but inside to the finish line, they fell into a hole in the wind. Pirates swept past for their only win of the race. ABN AMRO 2 had to be satisfied with second place. A big disappointment, but there was still plenty to celebrate when they crossed the finish line. Fourth place in the final rankings was something for the youngsters to be proud of. ABN AMRO 1 came last for a change, but what did it matter? They were winner of the Volvo Ocean Race 2005 to 2006.
Ça a été une grande force du team, comme on dit, c'est que là c'était un team à 2 bateaux, donc c'était la richesse, l'intelligence de Mike dans ce team, ça a été d'utiliser les 2 bateaux à bon escient pour pouvoir gagner la Volvo Ocean Race.
We needed 2 boats, and under the rule this time, if we built 2 boats, we had to sail 2 boats, and we didn't have the budget to have 2 professional teams, and having 2 professional teams wouldn't have been the best environment for us to be in anyway.
With the ABN one was a bit different than the ABN 2 because those were the guys, you know. And you're showing up at the base, and these guys have been, you know, they've sailed Volvo before. Some of them sailed like 4 Volvos before.
Boat 2, this is boat 1. Yeah, go ahead. Let's do a little race downwind, eh? We'll,
The teams trained hard together under Mike Sanderson's leadership. By performing many maneuvers in different conditions, they gained valuable experience.
Right, okay.
L'objectif du team, c'était qu'il y ait un bateau noir, donc le ABN AMRO 1, avec un équipage de professionnels qui arrive à dominer ou à gagner la Volvo Ocean Race. Donc nous, on était là comme un outil et qui a été très bien utilisé. Et nous, il n'y a rien de péjoratif, il n'y a rien de mauvais pour nous là-dedans, parce que de toute façon, on était un équipage qui avait plein de choses à apprendre, qui découvrait, y compris moi, hein, qui découvrait un team à 2 bateaux, un team avec 20 personnes.
We set up the white boat, and then we told them initially how they were going to sail it for while we were in our testing program. And since then they've grown a little bit for their own style, but so have we grown a little bit, you know, but we're still very, very similar in the way we do everything.
These young kids come, and they're going to sail this boat which they pampered for months, and they're going to take it over, and you think these guys are going to get mad. No, okay, you should do like this, you should do like that. It's good.
On peut dire merci à Mike, et c'est une grande preuve d'intelligence, de sagesse d'avoir fait ça, parce que s'il y avait commencé à avoir des conflits, des secrets, bon ben nous on n'aurait pas progressé, on aurait fini dernier tout le temps. Et puis bon, Mike, peut-être que ça aurait été un petit peu plus dur, il n'aurait pas dominé toutes les étapes non plus, donc pour ça c'est vraiment génial. Et je pense qu'il nous a plus apporté que ce que nous on a apporté à Mike.
The 2-boat campaign and the close cooperation between the crews was probably one of the most important reasons for Team ABN AMRO's success.
ABN AMRO wanted to win the Volvo Ocean Race. That was, you know, it wasn't to compete, it wasn't to do, it was to win.
The decision to race a second boat with young, promising sailors had major consequences. 1,800 sailors applied from all over the world, 80 of whom were finally chosen to take part in the selection rounds in the Netherlands, Brazil, the US and Portugal.
I like his attitude on board. He's a hard worker, he's looking around, he's helping other people.
Yep.
What we would like to do with the young sailors is to create a high potential team that has the ability to create some waves on the ocean, that have the ability to change a last place into a first place. We're trying to create a team that can sail fast around the world, that can take the boat first across the finish line. And at this final stages of the selection process, it would be nice to find a team that can do exactly that. And if we can help some people in that process to become better sailors, we will always do that.
The 4 preliminary rounds produced 20 highly talented sailors. In the final round in Portimao, the best 8 were picked for ABN AMRO 2.
We stand here in front of the boat that possibly some of you will be sailing in the Volvo Ocean Race. I can promise you each one of us here will love to go sailing with every one of you on the ocean. Unfortunately, we have to select 8 sailors. So, crunch time, gentlemen. We dropped some of the best under 30 sailors in the world. And it hurts to be told that there are others in the group which can do a better job.
The crew for the Black Boat was quite a different story. Already at a very early stage, Mike Sanderson was taken on as skipper. He was given all the time and space he needed to select the best sailors for Black Betty.
Yeah, the preparation obviously played, a massive part, but a good chunk of the final result of this race has always been about preparation.
We started earlier than most other boats.
We were lucky we had that time at the beginning to take our time and really try and get the best guys that we could,
Perhaps sometimes skippers choose people just for their talent or their, one of the criteria was to make sure that we all work well together.
You can't say you've won the race before you start, but it's you've gone a long way towards winning the race if you've done things right.
It's been a very, very solid team, and definitely I'd say now, after sailing around the world, probably the best team I've ever sailed with. Best team I've ever sailed with.
It's a 70 feet ocean racing boat. It's built from composite construction.
This is a very special boat for the reason that it is a new design, an open 70 design, which has never been brought into the Volvo Ocean Race before.
Nobody sailed it before, nobody in the world.
These boats, from a design aspect, they will probably be the fastest monohulls in the world.
Team ABN AMRO's boats were built in the Netherlands using thin layers of ultra-lightweight material. Light boats are fast, so every gram counts. To build the 2 boats, it took 16 months. After many tests and designs, every millimetre was weighed and measured. It had to be perfect. The largest section of hull and deck is made of a single piece. The groundbreaking technique comes from aircraft engineering. Special sails were designed for the boats, made in Denmark. The shape of the hull is extremely important. To produce the distinctive design, every model was tested in Southampton. The final shape is revolutionary, and the result is a very fast boat.
We wanted to create a fast boat. A fast boat, the fastest boat in my opinion has always won this race.
Boats like these V70s put extreme demands on the crew. Sailing these boats is a dangerous business.
It's not the easiest boat to sail at times. I mean, at times it doesn't like waves and stuff, it's quite horrible, but the reality is none of these boats do because they go so much quicker than the wind is.
they're crashing and bashing around when they're going so fast. You know, it's pretty highly stressed.
Just incredible machines to sail. The performance is just incredible of the Volvo 70s. They really are just full-on racing yachts, and to sail a boat like that in a place like the Southern Ocean can be quite unnerving.
I love short races, I love it. Caught with a little up and down races, I love it.
Something new to the race, sailing in view of the spectators.
You can actually show a little bit to the public of how fast and how things go on that boat.
Yesterday we had our first inshore race. We became fifth, second from last.
The design meant the boat was fast, but it needed wind.
We were in the dirty air and have to tack away. That was really a pity.
It was clear from the first import race that this edition made the race an even bigger draw for the public. Unfortunately for Team ABN AMRO, it was a false start. The crew worked their hardest, but they couldn't prevent a single competitor from ending ahead of them.
Bad, so we finished last, that's a fact.
Those boats are especially made for a bit of breeze. After more than force 3, force 4, we're really up and running, and I think we're faster than the other boats. Yesterday we had only force 2. Boat speed will definitely be better when there is a bit more breeze.
And there was plenty of wind during the second import race in Cape Town. The result? A spectacular show on the water. A first place for ABN AMRO 1 and a third for ABN AMRO 2. Rio de Janeiro was meant to be the place where the other teams stole back a few vital points from the race leaders, but it wasn't to be. And to everyone's amazement, ABN AMRO 1 turned out to have won with a damaged keel.
So obviously what we have here is the result probably from the first beat of the inshore leg in Rio. Obviously it must have been a bit disheartening to the rest of the fleet, obviously to see this after the fact, to know that this probably was missing for most of the inshore race, and the boat was able to still just keep, extending with each beat and downwind run. So we knew we had to get the boat out of the water today to clean up the bulb. We never expected to see this much laminate missing from the foil, and so what was going to be what we thought a day job is now going to turn into about a 2.5 day job to get the boat yachting again.
In the last import race in Rotterdam, the wind rarely exceeded 10 knots. Not the best conditions for the ABN AMRO boats. But the crew on Boat 1 put in one of their strongest performances, winning the 7th and final import race, having lost only 2 in the series.
A big wave could take a lot.
The boat is really aggressive. It doesn't just go up and down, but it goes all over the place. So it can move you, in any direction in any moment of time. So you have to really hold on.
No, it's so strong. That's what it's very hard to imagine.
The biggest danger is the water crashing over the deck.
Just one bad wave and
nothing special going on. And I was clicked on, but I was just whoop.
As you can see here, this is how we keep it safe. Keep yourself clipped onto something on the boat. Day or night, we always like that. Or else you can get washed away on the water. You're gone.
Try to use harness as much as you can, but also harness sometimes slows you down, and it's important sometimes to be really quick.
Can't tell people they should wear a harness all the time. There's a lot of jobs that we do on board where a harness can create, or a life jacket, wearing it all the time can create difficulty in doing it. So as a general rule though, it's as soon as we see waves breaking over the deck, then we start thinking of, okay, it's time to put harnesses on.
Always remember that the wave can strike you.
Johnny fell against the daggerboard, hit his head pretty badly, as you can see. And a bit of an open wound above his eye.
The ever faster boats make increasing demands on the crew. Despite all the safety measures, a competition like the Volvo Ocean Race will never be free from danger.
Now is going to show us how his shower on the screen, Volvo Ocean Race style. And his girlfriend was complaining that he doesn't take a shower on board. Can you believe on that? Oh yeah, there we go. Nice shower. Yeah, dickhead, you got it all.
Pour des gens qui n'ont jamais fait de bateau, c'est très dur de comprendre ce qui se passe à bord d'un bateau.
What you see here is our bag for one day. Here we got our drink sachets for some extra vitamins and pep. Most important item in the bag, beef jerky, freeze-dried food. It's the roast chicken, very delicious. I just had it.
C'est sûr que toute la nourriture lyophilisée, c'est quand même pas extraordinaire. Maintenant, quand on est en mer, c'est le mieux qu'on ait. On n'a pas le temps pour cuisiner. Donc, le fait d'avoir une nourriture lyophilisée, en 20 minutes, c'est prêt. On fait chauffer de l'eau, tout le monde peut le faire. On a assez de calories pour avoir de la force. Donc, c'est ça.
Actually, we've been not so good on the food. We had, during the last 2 nights, we had one hot meal. We just had too much on. People were too tired. And inside it was so violent that we just had one hot meal and power bars, and I think everybody was alright under it. And then this morning we started cooking lots of food so people could eat a lot.
What is that, George? That's Thai chicken curry. Shitload of it. Is it good? Surprisingly, yeah.
We are young, we are kids, we know we're still learning things, so we're still experiencing things. So yeah, it's a different age, it's a different generation. So I don't like to compare anyone, say that we're not trying hard, we're not fully focused, because now we are. We're full time. Guys are trimming and the guys are doing that. But we like to make a little bit of fun, and then the cameras and everything. It's just different. It's a different crew.
Simeon.
It's really good, you know, because there's only one opportunity. You're better gonna be friends with each other and work with each other, or you just gonna get off the boat. There's nothing in between.
Every boat, they makes a little bit of fun, you know.
3, 2, 1, let's go! Oh, fantastic pace. Jeez. Oh, there's spillage! There's spillage! Is there a protest? It's a new record! Woo! 27:06.
Yes, under 30 seconds. That's awesome.
What are you feeling right now, Beavis?
Oh, elation. It's a hard feeling to describe. I think I'm gonna be sick. Inside the boat, the noises are really, really loud. As you can see, on the Volvo 70, it's very hard to sleep, especially when we're charging with the motor. Here's George Pete showing us how he deals with the noise. Actually sleeping underneath a mattress. He's loving it in there right now.
Enfin, si le bateau, on avance à 20-25 nœuds, que ça tape, et là c'est pas facile parce qu'il y a du stress et on écoute toujours ce qui se passe.
You know, you cook inside the boat, and you know there are 5 persons laying there. So, of course, it's always like maybe 4 or 5 degrees more warm inside, and that's where you get all the condense from on the roof. And that's why the inside of the boat is almost always wet, especially in a place like the Southern Ocean. And it's so damp, and there's no sunshine, nothing dries, everything is salt. So when you're sleeping, you always get the drips from the rooftop on your face.
I'm soaking wet, the whole boat is dripping, it is life at the extreme. Standard daily stuff you gotta do to yourself. Nothing dries, always damp, nothing heals.
It's okay one watch, it's okay after 2 watch, it's okay after 1 day, it's okay 2 days. At one stage, you know, you're wet, your brain is sunk.
How fast was that?
I want to go home now. 30 knots. We hit the 30 knots. It's not very often that we see on the speedo we see 30 knots, because usually it's out of the water. It's fast and wet. I don't know if it's more wet than fast, but it's a disaster.
Getting wet is something you have to live with on this boat.
You're just shaking around all over the place, yeah. But you find you go to sleep and you have to. You know, you're so tired, you do.
It's not always that easy to fall asleep, but generally, eventually you will. You know, if you're tired enough, you'll sleep.
Life can be really hard for navigators on board the Volvo 70. Here you can see how hard it is for Sci-Fi. He hasn't been sleeping for a while.
Oh, it can be pretty boring when there's no wind.
I think every second on the boat you're thinking, come on wind, come on wind, come on wind, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Basically every 3 hours we have a new set of problems. So every 6 hours we find out new weather, and every 6 hours we find out the position report, and that overlaps. So every 3 hours we have a new problem.
You have to be constantly prepared for an unlikely event.
You know, sometimes you get downstairs after a watch and you're really wet and pretty cold, so you take your weather gear off and hang that up, and you're just getting into bed and you've hung your socks up everywhere and you've got everything laid out. You just hop into bed, and then someone calls out for a sail change, so you got to back out, get all your gear back on again, put your wet weather gear on, and then you're back on deck again.
10 minutes to go, just got off watch, in your bunk, done. Oh, another sail change, freezing cold and wet, put all your gear on, 4 layers, I love it. God, you know, remind me to do this again, I love this.
When I was a watch captain in races gone by, we were basically given a course by the navigator, and we changed sails to stay on that course. And now, with way less sails, every sail change is basically a tactical decision, because we go roaring off down here with one until we don't want to go down there anymore, and then we've got to decide where we're going to go next.
At times you feel very lonely because you're standing on this pedestal, you know, which is, I don't know, 200 mils above the deck or something. You're standing up there and your head is actually up in the wind. You can't even hear what they say half the time because there's so much wind noise.
Awesome. Top last top two. Yeah.
Send it, boys. Oh. This is award-winning. Ladies and gentlemen, Flipper in Gary Portman's.
Lukey's mum, if you're watching this, could you immediately fly to Baltimore because he needs a kiss better?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day, Sydney.
Tout le début de la course était quand même magique, quoi. C'est les résultats toujours dans les 2-3 premiers, le record des 24 heures.
Sepp or Sci-Fi came on deck and said to us, well, guys, this is going to be a pretty good setup to break the record.
Secret weapon up, hauling ass. Fuck, boys are stoked. Woo!
Ready to break 24 hours.
What this boat's designed for.
We did it in the leg from Cape Town to Melbourne, and then I think 24 hours before we hit these winds.
The breeze has picked up considerably here, and I think we're pushing as hard as we need to.
We go into the last quarter of our crack of the 24-hour record.
Pushing it to so hard, you're pushing it to the limit.
We've been averaging 24 knots for the last 4 or 5 hours, so we're looking good for the 24-hour record. grins have been getting bigger and bigger.
You're just pushing it. You're just going for that record.
Only going 22 right now.
Hi, Mum.
Oh my God, Dick! Oh my God!
Woo! 550 miles on a white boat! Yeah! Woo-hoo! 550 club! Yeah! Rock and roll!
You think you're a man, you've seen it all, but I haven't seen waves like that in my entire life.
I'm pretty sure I won't go back to the Southern Ocean again.
Blowing 30 to 32 knots. We're going 20 to 27, 30 constantly.
They were always telling me about the stories from the Southern Ocean and the type of sailing and how they actually sail the boats, and just amazing surfing down huge waves for days on end.
Southern Ocean sailing was one of the best sailings in my life.
I've never felt quite so out of control in a boat.
About 12 knots from the Horn.
I'm pretty sure I won't go back to the Southern Ocean again.
It's so weird how it escalated so quickly from being windy and good pace on to, oh my God, what the hell's going on? But it's like a liquid thunder almost, you know? It was unreal.
Fantastic. It's rounding Cape Horn there, where my ancient parents, probably 300 years ago, rounded as well. Yeah, it was just awesome rounding off the Horn, like 3 on deck and 50 knots of wind, rainbow, rain on the background, a little bit of sun, big waves, foam around us. It's just, yeah, never seen before. It's gonna be in my memory for a long time.
Sailing the no man's land is something that there's no way to find it anywhere in the world. Crossing the Horn at the same time, it's with all your friends that you've trained and sailed together, and you're thinking. Remember, Tony Mutter comes to the boys and said, "Guys, don't get very excited about Southern Ocean. Strange things happen there."
And then all of a sudden we saw something, and we thought it was another yacht. We thought it was a second-class yacht, and we were like, no, not again. But it turned out to be a naval frigate.
We were quite happy that someone came down to see us. It was probably 16, 18 days at that stage without seeing land or anything else, and to all of a sudden have the Argentinian Navy come right up alongside and drop their ribs in the water and come by, and they were just waving at us and screaming at us. It was quite funny. It was quite a novel experience. So.
Well, I think it's a pretty emotional and I don't know, spiritual. I don't know how to explain, but it's a pretty cool thing to do. You know, everyone's going around. I went around the Horn, but like you sit there and you kind of have a quiet time to yourself and reflect on. That's a pretty cool thing.
For me, the worst moment in this race was night 5 or 6 of the transatlantic when I heard Stan in the nav station go, "Moose, you better come down here. I think the white boat are in trouble."
I sailed the Volvo Ocean Race, 2 editions on board. Now we're going to do it again on the ABN AMRO 2, the boat with the high potentials. 2 of them dropped out just before the race. I'm going to replace them. The first time I did it, I was the youngest. Now I'm going to be the oldest on board. It's going to be weird for me, but that's how it is. And I'm going to make something really nice out of it. I'm really looking forward to sail those boats.
Sadly, Hans didn't make the finish. The advocate of safety on board was surprised by a sudden storm. Arriving in Portsmouth, the shaken crew held a press conference.
We sailed downwind on the night with 25 knots, 30 knots of wind. We have 4 people.
We were only 1.6 miles away from Hans when we had the spinnaker down, the staysail furled, the daggerboard down so we could go upwind, and the boat was turned around and heading back.
Despite the darkness, heavy sea and high winds, the crew was able to locate Hans quite quickly. But it was already too late. The cold water, or perhaps an injury sustained during Hans's fall from the boat, meant the fast rescue operation came to an unhappy end.
The Volvo Ocean Race is about a lot of things. It's a race about the extremes. Teamwork is going to be really crucial.
So Hans, you've been here before. What's it look like? The same?
Yeah, it's still the same, I reckon. It was more clear when we were here 8 years ago.
You know, Hans also has been working to try and win this race for a long, long time. And of course, we would trade up everything in the world to have Hans back, but we can't. And we're here, and we've won the race. And all I can say is I know he would be very pleased.
A nice day for ABN AMRO, winning the Volvo Ocean Race, and with the Black Betty and the White Boat coming fourth. That's what we wanted to achieve, and it's happened, so congratulations to everybody.
We won the Volvo Ocean Race. We won the Volvo Ocean Race. This has just been a dream come true for all of us at ABN AMRO. The team's been rock solid from day one. We got a sixth on the first import race, so we thought just to keep the scorecard balanced, we better get a sixth to finish it off. So it looks nice and balanced, and no, we're over the moon with the result, and just so pleased to be here in Gothenburg.